The plate shattered at my feet. Dana laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. "You want dinner? Then lick it up," Eric said, turning back to the TV. I didn't say a word. I just stared at the mortgage statement on the counter, with my name still printed in bold. Before we continue, please like this video and subscribe to the channel to help us create more videos like this. Done that? Great. Back to the story. My name, Frank Gables. Not Eric Gables. Not Dana Gables. Mine. My heart was doing a strange rhythm, a weak, fluttery kick drum against my new stitched-together ribs. It was the first real emotion I'd felt in 6 weeks, and it wasn't sadness. It was cold. It was clear. I was 72 years old, 6 weeks out from a triple bypass that had saved my life, and my son, my only son, had just told me to eat my dinner off the floor. Spaghetti, the cheap kind, with sauce from a jar that tasted like tin. It was now sprayed across the hardwood floor my late wife Martha and I had picked out in 1993. I looked at the stain, then at Eric. He was 42. He was watching a basketball game, his jaw working on a slice of pizza from a box on the coffee table. He hadn't even looked at me when he said it. He just said it. Dana, his wife, was on the sofa, scrolling through her phone. The flash of her screen lit up her smile. She was still smiling. "You're just gonna stand there, Frank? You're letting a draft in. Clean up your mess." My mess. I was a guest in my own house. That was the story anyway. After the surgery, the doctor said I couldn't be alone. Eric and Dana, in a grand gesture of filial piety, had insisted I move in with them. But they hadn't moved in. They just arrived with a U-Haul. "It just makes sense, Dad," Eric had explained, his hands gesturing expansively around my living room. "This house is way too big for you. It's a burden. And we're paying a fortune for our tiny apartment. It's a win-win." It had happened so fast. I was in the hospital, dizzy on painkillers. Eric had brought papers. "Just for the taxes, Dad. We need to, protect the assets. The lawyer said this is the best way. It's temporary. Just puts the house in our name so we can manage the bills while you're sick." I signed it. My hand was shaking. I trusted my son. I looked back at the mortgage statement on the counter. It had come in the mail that day. Dana usually got the mail, but I'd been by the door when the postman came. I'd picked it up. A simple white envelope addressed to the Frank and Martha Gables Trust. I hadn't opened it. I just held it. Now I understood why it felt so heavy. Dana had left it on the counter, probably thinking it was just more junk mail for a trust she assumed she now controlled. She'd been so careless, so arrogant. I bent down, slowly. Each inch was a separate, agonizing decision. My scar pulled a hot, sharp line from my sternum to my navel. I heard my knees crack. I heard Eric chew. I heard Dana like something on her phone. I put my hand on the floor, not for the food, but to brace myself. My fingers brushed over the grout. Martha and I had sealed this grout ourselves, on our hands and knees, laughing, back when Eric was just a teenager with bad hair. "That's it," Eric said, a chuckle in his voice. "Good boy." I closed my eyes. The cold clarity was still there. It was a tiny, hard pebble of ice in my chest. I didn't pick up the spaghetti. I just stayed there, on one knee, like a man about to propose or a man about to be executed. I thought, I have no options. I am a weak old man. They are young and strong. They are right.
I am a burden. I almost believed it. I stayed there so long the silence became loud. The basketball game went to commercial. Dad, what the hell is wrong with you? Eric's voice was annoyed. The fun was over. I pushed myself up. My legs trembled. I left the spaghetti on the floor. I left the broken plate. I walked past them. Eric started to say something. You're not just going to leave it. But I kept walking. I went to my room. Theirs was the master. I was in the guest room, the one we'd set up for Eric when he came home from college. It was small, cold. They kept the heat low. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at my hands. They were spotted. They were shaking, but they were a carpenter's hands. They were the hands that had built the deck on this house, the hands that had put Eric on his first bicycle, the hands that had signed papers. What had I signed?
I tried to remember. It was foggy. The hospital, the smell of antiseptic, the beep of the monitors. But there was someone else there, not just Eric. Jim. Jim, my lawyer, my golf buddy for 30 years. Jim had been there. Why had Jim been there? Eric had called him. Just to make it all legal and official, Dad, so you know I'm not trying to pull anything. I remembered Jim's face. He looked unhappy. He'd pulled Eric aside. I couldn't hear what they said. Then Jim had come to my bedside. He'd held the papers. Frank, he'd said, his voice low, this is an occupancy agreement. It is not a transfer of deed. It gives Eric and Dana the right to live here and manage the property, but the house remains 100% in the trust. You are the sole trustee. He'd looked hard at me. You can revoke this with 30 days' notice. Do you understand, Frank? I'd been so tired. I'd been in pain. I just wanted Eric to feel, I don't know, looked after. He was my father. I was supposed to provide. Even on my deathbed, I was supposed to provide. Yes, Jim, I understand. It's fine. He's my son. Jim had sighed. Okay, Frank. I'd signed, and then I'd forgotten. In the haze of surgery and recovery and the slow, creeping humiliation of the last 6 weeks, I had completely forgotten. Until tonight. You want dinner? Then lick it up. I sat in the cold room, and I felt the ice pebble in my chest. It wasn't sadness. It was rage. A cold, slow, 72-year-old rage. They thought I was senile. They thought I was stupid. They thought I was a broken-down old man who was too weak to fight back. They had forgotten who I was. They had forgotten who built the foundation under their feet. I needed my phone.
My phone. They managed it for me to stop the spam calls, Dad, so you're not bothered. It was on the charger in the kitchen, in their territory. I waited. I heard the TV shut off. I heard their footsteps go down the hall to the master bedroom. The door clicked shut. I heard Dana laugh, that same sharp, ugly sound. I counted to 500. Slowly. Then I stood up. I put on my robe. I walked, my bare feet silent on the hardwood floors, to the kitchen. The spaghetti was still there, a small, congealing monument to my humiliation. My phone was on the counter, plugged in next to the mortgage statement. I grabbed it. I also grabbed the mortgage statement. I went back to my room and locked the door. I turned on the phone. The screen was bright. 28 missed calls, all from unknown. They'd been right about the spam, But I didn't care. I went to my contacts. J. Jim Harris. It was 10:47 p.m. I hit call. He picked up on the third ring. His voice was thick with sleep. Frank, is that you? Are you okay? Is it your heart? My heart's fine, Jim. Or it's as good as it can be. What's wrong? Why are you calling so late? I took a breath. Jim, the papers, the occupancy agreement, do you still have a copy? There was a silence. Jim was waking up, fast. Of course I do. I have the original. It's in my office safe. Why? I told him everything. The temporary tax lie, the medication they forgot, the size, the eye rolls, the way they spoke to me, and then I told him about the plate. When I finished, the silence on the other end was so total, I thought he'd hung up. Jim, you there? I'm here, Frank. His voice was different. It wasn't sleepy. It was the voice that had cross-examined a lying contractor who'd tried to stiff me in '09. It was cold. They told you to lick it up? Yes. And the mortgage statement, it's addressed to the trust? Yes. Have they paid any bills? The utilities? The insurance?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they've just been living. Okay, Jim said. He was moving. I could hear paper rustling. Okay, Frank, here's what's going to happen. You are not going to say another word to them. Not one. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I am coming to get you. Get me? Jim, I can't just... Frank, are you in danger? Do you feel physically threatened? No. Not like that. They're abusing you, Frank. This is textbook financial and emotional elder abuse. And we're going to end it. I'm coming to get you. Pack a small bag, just the essentials. Your wallet, your medications, your checkbook. Do not tell them I am coming. Do not tell them anything. Do you have a doctor's appointment? I thought. Yes, my post-op follow-up on Wednesday. Good. Tomorrow is Tuesday. When they ask where you're going, you tell them... No, you tell them nothing. I'll be parked at the end of your street at 9 a.m. sharp. Can you walk that far? The end of the street. 2 houses down. Maybe 300 feet? Yes, I said. I can. Good. I'll be in my gray Lexus. Just get in. We'll go to the bank, get your papers, then we'll go to my office. And then, Frank, then we go to war. I hung up. I didn't sleep. I just sat in the chair, holding the mortgage statement. At 7 a.m., I heard them moving. I got dressed. I put my pills, my wallet, and my toothbrush in a small canvas bag, the one I used to take to the gym. At 8:45 a.m., I walked out of my room. They were in the kitchen. The spaghetti was gone. The plate was gone. They were drinking coffee. Oh, you decided to join us, Dana said, not looking up from her laptop. She was probably buying another one of her expensive purses, the $3,000 ones. I'm going for a walk, I said. My voice was rough. Eric looked up. A walk? Can you handle that? Don't have another heart attack on the lawn. It's bad for the property value. He laughed. Dana snickered.
I just looked at him. I looked at my son, and I felt nothing. The part of me that loved him, the part that had ached for him, it was just gone. It was a clean, neat amputation. I'll be fine, I said. I walked out the front door, the one Martha had painted bright red. Dana had hated it. So tacky, she'd said.
I walked down the driveway. My legs were shaking, but not from weakness, from adrenaline. I got to the sidewalk. I turned right. I didn't look back. I saw the gray Lexus. I opened the back door, got in, and shut it. "Morning, Jim," I said. "Morning, Frank." He put the car in drive. First the bank, then we start the paperwork. We didn't talk. We went to the bank. I still had my key to the safe deposit box. Eric had tried to get his name on it, but the bank manager, a nice woman named Mrs. Petrov, had told him I needed to be there in person. We went into the vault. I opened the box, and there it was. The original, signed, notarized occupancy agreement, and next to it, the deed to the house in the name of the trust, and the insurance policy, also in the name of the trust. Jim read the agreement right there in the bank's little cubicle. "Oh," he said. "What?" "Oh, this is even better. Frank, look at this. Clause 4, Section B. Occupants agree to transfer all utility accounts, including gas, electric, water, and waste, into their own names within 60 days of occupancy." "They never did," I whispered. "The mortgage statement, it's all still coming to the trust." "Which means," Jim said, a slow, grim smile spreading across his face, "they are in breach of contract. We don't have to give them 30 days notice, Frank. We can give them 10.
My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text. From Eric. "Where the hell are you? Your walk spent an hour. Get back here. I am not your babysitter." I showed it to Jim. He just nodded. "Save that." We went to his office. It was on the second floor of a small brick building. It smelled like old paper and coffee. It was the most comforting smell in the world. Jim's paralegal, a woman named Maria who looked like she could bench press a car, got me coffee and a donut. I ate it. It was the best food I'd had in 2 months. "Okay," Jim said, sitting down. "Here's the plan. Step 1, I am drafting a notice to vacate. It will give them 10 days per the breach. It will be delivered by a process server this afternoon." "This afternoon?" "This afternoon." Step 2, we need to figure out where you're going to go. You can't go back there. I don't know. A hotel? I have a better idea. Jim picked up his phone. "Hi, Susan. It's Jim Harris. How's my favorite realtor?" "Good. Listen, I have a situation. A client of mine needs to sell his house. 412 Elm Street. Yes, that one. The Gables house. It's going to be vacant in 10 days. It's a long story. But here's the fun part. He needs a place to stay. Immediately. Like today. He's got money. The house will sell for a mint." "Yes?" "What about that place we talked about? Sunset Vistas?" He listened. "A respite care room? Perfect. He just had heart surgery. Yes, he can pay cash. Fantastic. I'm sending him over now." He hung up. Sunset Vistas. It's an assisted living facility, the good one. The one you and Martha toured, remember? They have a respite care room available. It's furnished. You can stay there while we sell the house. The house. Sell the house. And Eric? Dana? They get the notice. They'll call a lawyer. Their lawyer will read the agreement, see they're in breach, and tell them they have no case. They'll posture, they'll threaten, but they'll have to leave.
My phone buzzed again. And again. Calls this time. Eric. 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 Dana. I let them ring. "What if they don't leave?" I asked. "Then," Jim said, "we get the sheriff to evict them." The thought of it made me sick. The sheriff at my house with my son? "I know this sounds petty, Frank," Jim said, reading my face, "but maybe I should just let it go." "Let it go?" I said. The word was out of my mouth before I could stop it. Let it go. I thought of the spaghetti. I thought of the laugh. No, I'm not letting it go. Good. Jim dropped me off at Sunset Vistas. It was nice, clean. It smelled like cinnamon. There was a garden. A nurse took my blood pressure. She was kind. She didn't sigh. She called me Mr. Gables. I sat in my new temporary room. It had a bed, a chair, and a small TV. It was smaller than my room at the house, but it was mine. My phone rang. Eric. I picked up. His voice was a roar. A lawyer? You got a lawyer? Dad, what the hell is this? A notice to vacate? Are you insane? I held the phone away from my ear. A process server at my house? You're trying to kick us out after everything we've done for you? I found my voice. It was quiet. What have you done for me, Eric? You took you in. You took my house. It's not your house, Eric. It's mine. It's always been mine. You old fool. You're senile. You don't know what you're doing. I'll see you in court. I'll get power of attorney. I'll prove you're incompetent. You'll see. You'll be in a home, and I'll be in that house. You gave it to me. He was sobbing. Or screaming. I couldn't tell. You have 10 days, Eric. And I hung up.
He did what he said. He got a lawyer. He filed for an emergency hearing to stop the eviction. He claimed I was mentally incompetent and under undue influence from Jim. We ended up in court, a week later. I thought it would be dramatic, like on TV. It wasn't. It was a beige room at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. The judge looked tired. She was eating a sandwich before we started. Eric's lawyer was young. He wore a shiny suit. He was slick. "Your Honor," he said, "we're here to protect Frank Gables from himself. He's a 72-year-old man, fresh from a major surgery. He's on a cocktail of medications. He's suggestible. His son, Eric Gables, my client, has been his sole caregiver, managing his finances, his property, all out of the goodness of his heart." Eric was sitting at the table. He looked concerned. He had a good concerned face. Dana was behind him, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. She wasn't crying. Her makeup was perfect. "Mr. Eric Gables," the lawyer said, "has been paying the mortgage on his father's house." Jim stood up. "Objection, Your Honor! That is verifiably false." The judge looked at Jim. "Do you have proof?" "I do," Jim said. He walked up and handed her a binder. Exhibit A, bank statements from the Frank and Martha Gables Trust showing all mortgage, insurance, and utility payments made from my client's trust account for the last 6 months since Mr. Eric Gables and his wife took occupancy. The judge flipped through the pages. "Mr. Gables," she said to Eric, "your lawyer said you paid the bills." Eric's face was… the color was just gone. "I meant we managed the payments from his account, like I said." "So you haven't paid a dime to live in this house?" It was an agreement." "The agreement is Exhibit B, the signed occupancy agreement, which, I'll draw your attention to Clause 4, Section B, states that the occupants, Mr. Eric Gables and his wife, were to transfer all utilities to their name. They have failed to do so. They are in breach."
"He's confused," Dana suddenly shouted from the gallery. "He's old. He told us we didn't have to. He wanted to help his son." The judge banged her gavel. "Ma'am, you will be silent, or I will have you removed." Dana sat down, her face a mask of rage. And as for my client's mental incompetence, Jim continued, my client is perfectly lucid. He's just disappointed. He's also been threatened. Your Honor, I'd like to play a voicemail left on my client's phone the day the notice was served. He played it. The courtroom was silent. Eric's voice screaming, "You old fool! You're senile! I'll get power of attorney!" When it finished, even Eric's lawyer was looking at his shoes. The judge looked at Eric. "Did you leave that message, Mr. Gables?" Eric just stared. "I'll take that as a yes." She turned to me. "Mr. Gables, Mr. Frank Gables, sir, are you confused? Are you under duress?" I stood up. It was hard. My back ached, but I stood. "Your Honor," I said. My voice was clear. "I had a triple bypass. My body is weak. My mind is not. I own the house at 412 Elm Street. I have owned it for 45 years. I let my son and his wife live there while I recovered, and they treated me badly. I want to sell my house and use my money to pay for my care. That is all." Jim stepped forward. "One last thing, Your Honor, the tiny detail that matters. Exhibit C, a printout from Mrs. Dana Gables' public Instagram account posted 2 weeks ago." He handed it to the judge. She looked at it. Her eyebrows went up. "It's a photo," Jim said, "of my client's son and daughter-in-law on a new boat, a 28-foot Sea Ray. The caption reads, 'Finally, enjoying the good life. #OurHouse, #SecuredFuture, #Inheritance.'" The judge put the photo down. She looked at Eric, then at Dana, then at me. "Request for a restraining order is denied," she said. Her voice was flat. "The occupancy agreement is ironclad. The breach is clear. The 10-day notice to vacate is valid and binding. Mr. and Mrs. Gables, you have 48 hours to vacate the premises at 412 Elm Street. If you are not out by noon on Friday, the sheriff will be authorized to remove you." She looked at Eric. "And Mr. Gables, I'd be very, very careful about using phrases like power of attorney again. You are this close," she held up 2 fingers, "to a referral to the DA for elder abuse. We are adjourned." She banged the gavel. Dana screamed, a real scream this time. "You can't do this! That's our house! He's an ungrateful old bastard!" Eric just sat there. He was white. He was staring at me. His face wasn't angry, it was blank. It was the face of a man who had finally been told no. I just looked back. I didn't say a word. I just nodded. Once. Then I turned, and with Jim's hand on my elbow, I walked out of the courtroom. I was free. The aftermath was messy. They didn't leave in 48 hours. The sheriff did have to go. Jim handled it. I didn't go. I stayed at Sunset Vistas. When the realtor, a nice woman named Susan, finally got into the house, she called me. "Frank," she said, her voice strained, I'm so sorry. You're going to need a cleaning crew, a biohazard crew, maybe." They had left a parting gift. They had left all their trash. They had stopped up the sinks and let them overflow. And this was the part I'll never understand, they had hidden raw shrimp in all the curtain rods. It cost me $5,000 to clean and repair the house. I didn't care. The house, once it was cleaned, went on the market. It was a seller's market. My house, the house Martha and I had loved, was in a good neighborhood. It had good bones. It sold in 24 hours. A cash offer.
for $100,000 over the asking price. The money went straight into the trust. I moved out of the respite room and into a permanent one-bedroom suite at Sunset Vistas. It had a small balcony that overlooked a rose garden. I sat on my new balcony with my new furniture and I read the paper. The fallout for Eric and Dana was systematic. The boat was repossessed. They'd only made the down payment. Eric's boss, who, it turned out, lived 2 streets over from me, had heard the entire story. The boat picture, the eviction, the shrimp. Eric was fired. The company called it a morals clause violation. Dana's influencer career, her 800 followers on Instagram, all vanished. She'd posted one last furious rant about the ungrateful elderly and socialist judges. Her account was suspended. They moved into a tiny apartment complex out by the highway. I know because the final bill for the biohazard cleanup was sent to their new address. I was sitting in the dining hall one day, about a month after all this. I was eating Jell-O. I had come to like Jell-O. A woman walked up to my table. She looked familiar. Uncle Frank? It was my niece, my sister's daughter, Rachel. I hadn't seen her in 5 years. Rachel? Honey, is that you? She was crying. Uncle Frank, I heard what happened. I am so sorry. We thought you didn't want to see us. Eric told us that you'd cut us all off. He told me you were all too busy, I said. She sat down. She grabbed my hand. Her hand was warm. Can I take you to a real lunch, not Jell-O? She asked. I laughed.
It was hard. I won't lie. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Harder than the surgery. To look at your own son and see a stranger. A greedy, cruel stranger. That leaves a mark. I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel guilty for a little while. Maybe I should have just let it go, been quieter, eaten the spaghetti off the floor. But then I think about that, and the ice pebble is still there. It was worth it. My life is quiet now. I'm not a burden, I'm happy. I play chess with Jim on Thursdays. Rachel takes me to lunch on Sundays. I'm the head of the garden committee here. My roses, they're beautiful. I even got a letter from Dana, a cease and desist from her lawyer, claiming emotional distress from my public vendetta. Jim and I had a good laugh over that one. I heard, through Jim, who heard it from the repossession agent, that Eric and Dana were evicted from the apartment by the highway. Seems they couldn't afford the rent even there. I didn't feel anything. I'm sitting on my balcony now. It's a warm evening. The roses smell sweet. I'm drinking an iced tea. My new nurse, Maria, brought it to me. She's a good kid. I look at my hands. They're still spotted. They still shake a little, but they're steady enough. They're good hands. They built a life, and when they had to, they tore a part of it down to save the rest. I pick up my glass. My chest doesn't hurt. The sun is warm on my face. And for the first time in a very, very long time, the house I'm in feels like home. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below.